Imagine a plant so powerful that ancient Egyptian pharaohs placed it in their tombs as an offering to the gods. A plant that Roman soldiers rubbed on their arms before battle to feel stronger. A plant that today grows in over 100 countries, is used in hospitals, kitchens, pharmaceutical labs, and livestock farms. And yet, most people treat it like a garnish they push to the side of the plate. That plant is mint. And if you've been ignoring it every morning, what you're about to hear might seriously change your routine. We're not talking about peppermint candy or chewing gum flavoring. We're talking about the real, fresh, living mint leaf, Mentha spicata, commonly known as spearmint or its closely related cousin, Mentha times piperita, which is peppermint, members of the Lamiaceae family, the same botanical family that includes basil, rosemary, lavender, and oregano. These aren't just herbs, they are among the most biochemically complex plants ever studied by science. Let's start with what mint actually is, because most people have never stopped to look at it closely. Mint is a perennial herbaceous plant, meaning it comes back year after year from the same root system without replanting. It grows in dense, spreading mats of erect stems, typically reaching between 30 to 90 centimeters in height, depending on variety and conditions. The leaves are oval to lance-shaped, with serrated or toothed edges, and range from bright to deep green, occasionally with a slight purple tinge in certain varieties. When you crush a mint leaf between your fingers, the oils release instantly. That sharp, cooling sensation you feel? That's not just a smell. That is a molecule called menthol, and it is one of the most studied, naturally occurring compounds in plant science. The mint family contains over 25 recognized species and hundreds of hybrids. The most commercially cultivated include peppermint, M. times piperita, spearmint, M. spicata, watermint, M. aquatica, and cornmint, M. arvensis, which is actually the world's largest source of natural menthol. Each variety has a slightly different chemical profile, but all share the family signature: volatile aromatic oils, primarily menthol, menthone, limonene, and rosmarinic acid. What makes mint genuinely rule-breaking in the plant world is this: it doesn't produce seeds reliably. Unlike almost every other plant you know, mint reproduces primarily through underground runners called stolons, horizontal stems that creep through the soil and sprout new plants. This is why mint spreads aggressively when planted in open ground. It is, biologically speaking, a plant that refuses to stay in one place. Farmers often call it an escapee. Gardeners call it invasive. Scientists call it evolutionarily opportunistic. Mint has been documented in human use for over 3,000 years. Ancient Greeks used it to scent their baths and flavor their wines. The Romans spread it across Europe as they expanded their empire. In traditional Ayurvedic medicine, mint is classified as a digestive tonic and nervine herb. In traditional Chinese medicine, it is used to relieve heat and clear the head. But here is the question no one actually answers with real data. What specifically happens inside your body when you eat fresh mint leaves every single morning for 30 consecutive days? Mint is not a fussy plant by nature, but it does have preferences, and understanding them explains why certain regions of the world produce mint of exceptional quality while others struggle to grow it at all. Mint thrives in temperate to subtropical climates, preferring average temperatures between 15 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Fahrenheit to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. It can tolerate light frost, and in fact, a mild frost in late autumn can actually help trigger dormancy and concentrate the essential oil content in the roots, which improves the following season's harvest. However, sustained temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius cause the plant to bolt, sending up flower spikes rapidly, which reduces leaf quality and oil content dramatically. In terms of soil, mint strongly prefers moist, fertile, well-drained loam with a pH between 6.0 and 7.0. It does not tolerate waterlogged roots for extended periods, as this invites root rot caused by Pythium and Rhizoctonia fungal species. Organic matter content is critical. Mint grown in soil rich in compost produces leaves with measurably higher menthol concentrations, as confirmed by studies published in the Industrial Crops and Products Journal. The top producing countries of commercial mint globally are India, the United States, China, and Brazil. India alone accounts for over 75% of the world's natural menthol supply, with the Indo-Gangetic Plain, particularly the states of Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and Himachal Pradesh, being the heartland of global corn mint cultivation. The Barabanki district in Uttar Pradesh is sometimes called the mint capital of the world, producing hundreds of thousands of metric tons of mint oil annually. The United States, particularly Indiana, Michigan, and the Pacific Northwest, produces significant quantities of peppermint and spearmint, primarily for the food, cosmetics, and pharmaceutical industries. Now let's walk through the complete growth timeline of mint from propagation to harvest. Days 1 to 7. Mint is almost never grown from seed commercially because seed germination is unreliable and slow. Instead, propagation is done via stem cuttings or root divisions. A healthy cutting placed in moist soil or even a glass of water will begin showing white root development within 5 to 7 days. Days 8 to 21. Once rooted, the cutting is transplanted. New shoot growth becomes visible within the second week. At this stage, the plant requires consistent moisture, approximately 2 to 3 centimeters of water per week, and partial to full sun exposure of at least 4 to 6 hours daily. Weeks 3 to 6, the plant enters vigorous vegetative growth. Stolons begin spreading underground. Leaf size and oil content increase steadily. This is the period where nitrogen availability matters most. A balanced organic fertilizer applied every 3 weeks significantly improves leaf yield. Weeks 6 to 10. The first harvest window opens. For home growers, individual leaves and stems can be pinched from the top. And importantly, this pinching actually stimulates bushier, denser growth by preventing apical dominance. Commercial farmers typically cut the entire crop to about 5 centimeters above the soil level using mechanical harvesters. Post-harvest regrowth. Within 3 to 4 weeks after cutting, mint regrows from its root system fully. A well-managed mint field can yield 3 to 4 harvests per year. For home growers, and this is excellent news, mint is one of the most container-friendly plants in existence. A 25 to 30 centimeters wide pot with drainage holes placed near a sunny window will produce fresh leaves year-round. Keeping it in a container also controls its spreading habit. One cutting purchased or borrowed from a neighbor's garden can supply a household with fresh mint indefinitely. This plant asks for very little. What it gives back is extraordinary. Let's be precise here. We're not making promises. We're following the science. Peer-reviewed, published, reproducible science. And what that science shows about daily mint consumption is genuinely impressive. The human body, system by system. Digestive system. This is where the evidence is strongest. Menthol, mint's primary active compound, works directly on the smooth muscle of the gastrointestinal tract. It activates calcium channels in a way that causes relaxation of intestinal muscles, reducing cramping and spasm. A 2014 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology found that peppermint oil significantly reduced abdominal pain in patients with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, compared to placebo. Eating fresh mint leaves every morning stimulates the secretion of digestive enzymes, particularly bile, improving fat digestion and reducing bloating. After 30 days of consistent use, many people report markedly reduced post-meal discomfort. This isn't placebo, it's pharmacology. Respiratory system. The menthol in mint is a natural decongestant and bronchodilator. It interacts with cold receptors in the nasal mucosa, creating the perception of improved airflow. Research from the European Respiratory Journal has documented that menthol inhalation reduces cough frequency in patients with chronic cough conditions. Consuming fresh mint leaves daily provides a mild but cumulative anti-inflammatory effect in the upper respiratory tract. Antimicrobial properties. Multiple laboratory studies have confirmed that mint essential oil exhibits broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity against pathogens including Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, and Candida albicans. Regular consumption helps maintain a healthier oral microbiome, reducing the bacterial load responsible for bad breath and gum inflammation. Hormonal health, a surprising one. Several studies, including a notable 2010 clinical trial published in Phytotherapy Research, found that spearmint tea consumed twice daily for 30 days significantly reduced free testosterone levels in women with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, reducing excess hair growth, hirsutism. This makes spearmint a clinically relevant botanical intervention for hormonal imbalance. Nutritional profile. Per 100 g of fresh mint leaves, approximately 70 calories, 3.75 g protein, 14.9 g carbohydrates, 8 g dietary fiber, rich in vitamin A, 212% of daily value, vitamin C, 31% DV, folate, 12% DV, iron, 28% DV, manganese, 78% DV, and potassium. It also contains rosmarinic acid, a potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compound. Benefits for animals. Mint is used in veterinary and livestock settings with increasing frequency. Peppermint oil added to poultry feed has been shown in peer-reviewed studies to improve feed conversion ratios and reduce intestinal pathogens in broiler chickens. For dairy cattle, mint-based supplements have demonstrated mild improvements in milk production and reduced incidence of mastitis due to antimicrobial effects. In beekeeping, mint planted near hives is known to repel varroa mites and reduce hive stress. Environmental benefits. Mint is a superb pollinator plant. When allowed to flower, its small blossoms attract bees, hoverflies, and butterflies at extraordinary density. Research from the UK's Royal Horticultural Society identified mint flowers as among the top 10 most visited plants by pollinators in garden settings. Mint's dense root system helps prevent soil erosion on sloped terrain. Its allopathic compounds, chemicals released from its roots, naturally suppress competing weeds, reducing the need for herbicides in integrated farming systems. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. In a world of complicated wellness products, expensive supplements, and conflicting nutrition advice, mint is a plant that costs almost nothing, grows almost anywhere, and has been validated by thousands of years of human use and decades of modern science. And yet it sits in most people's gardens, if it's there at all, as an afterthought. That needs to change. And here is why it matters beyond your personal morning routine. The case for growing your own mint starts with accessibility. A single mint plant purchased for the equivalent of a cup of coffee will, if properly maintained, supply fresh leaves for years. You don't need a farm. You don't need specialized knowledge. A windowsill pot, some compost-rich soil, regular watering, and occasional pinching. That is the full technical requirement. For families with limited budgets, growing medicinal and culinary herbs at home represents a genuine reduction in household health expenditure. For farmers and small-scale agricultural entrepreneurs, mint is one of the most economically compelling crops available. Global demand for mint oil is growing at a compound annual growth rate of approximately 4.5% per year, driven by expanding demand from the pharmaceutical, cosmetics, food flavoring, and personal care industries. In India's Uttar Pradesh, a single hectare of corn mint cultivation can yield 80 to 120 kilograms of essential oil per harvest, with 3 harvests per year. At current global market prices, that translates to meaningful income from a relatively modest land area. In Western markets, fresh culinary mint commands premium prices at farmers' markets and through direct-to-restaurant sales channels, especially organic certified varieties. Seed preservation, or more accurately, for mint, root, and cutting preservation, is a critical conversation for this generation of growers. As commercial agriculture consolidates around fewer and fewer high-yield monoculture varieties, dozens of heritage mint varieties with unique chemical profiles and regional adaptations are quietly disappearing. Varieties like Moroccan mint, Vietnamese mint, bowls mint, and pennyroyal each carry distinct biochemical compositions that future pharmaceutical research may find invaluable. When you grow a heritage variety of mint in your garden and share cuttings with neighbors, you are participating in grassroots biodiversity conservation. That is not a small thing. Seed banks and botanical gardens around the world are actively documenting and preserving mint germplasm precisely because its genetic diversity is considered a global agricultural asset. Think about what we've covered today. A plant with a 3,000-year documented history, a plant that relaxes your digestive system, supports your respiratory health, fights oral pathogens, provides significant quantities of vitamin A and iron, supports hormonal balance, feeds pollinators, protects topsoil, and earns income for millions of farming families around the world. A plant you can grow in a pot on your kitchen windowsill. 30 days of eating fresh mint leaves every morning will not transform you overnight, but it will consistently and measurably contribute to better digestion, fresher breath, reduced inflammation, and a closer relationship with the food you consume. And that relationship between human beings and the plants they cultivate is one of the oldest and most important on this planet. So here is the call. Plant mint this week. Not because a video told you it was a superfood, but because the science is real, the history is deep, the effort is minimal, and the return for your body, your family, your soil, and your future is profound. If this video gave you something genuinely useful today, subscribe to this channel, because every week we bring you the same standard: no hype, no fiction, just the real science of plants and farming. Share this with someone who has a windowsill and 5 minutes to spare. And leave a comment below telling us, what herb are you growing right now? The garden is waiting. The science is clear. The first leaf is yours to take.